bring me down. Bring me Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. The love is too high, it bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, come along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Oh, you know, I'm happy. Oh, you know, I'm happy. Oh, you know, I'm happy. Because I'm happy.
Before the show gets started, I want to first let you know that you can always support the show via Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. All financial contributions are greatly appreciated, and we really do thank you so much. Now sit back and let's enjoy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope all is well with you. Listen, make sure you hit that notification thing down there. And also hit that bell, okay? Hit that bell so that you're never left out, you're never confused, you're never wondering as to what I posted. Was I on, or are you guys lost, or what is King really doing? Okay? Just make sure I hit that notification. And make sure you subscribe. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Greetings, everyone. Hope all is well. Listen, yes, you know it's King Jives here, aka DeMario. Listen, I am so happy to be with you all on tonight. It is Wednesday. We have a special guest, We have a special guest tonight, Karen Perez, who is on the school board for Hillsborough District 6. Listen, she is here tonight, and she is going to be discussing with us the things that's going on with the school board and the ambitions and the journey that we're going to be seeing moving forward. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, especially with the parents, but we are so happy and elated that she is going to be with us tonight. And also, he is not a guest, but Pastor Pickett, Elvis Pickett, is going to be with us too, and we are so greatly and appreciative. So give me 1 second, guys. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
I am well, and yourself. Thank you so much for being with us on tonight. I am so appreciative for you even taking the opportunity. And Pastor Pickett, thank you as well. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Karen, as you know, we were just having a conversation earlier, but I wanted you to, before I even go into that, just with the audience, just, kind of introduce yourself a little bit. We know who you are in Hillsborough, but just to some people who may not have the opportunity to get to know the people that are on the board, because a lot of people don't go to a lot of the functions or the town hall meetings and things like that, because a lot of parents, they just send their children to the schools. And, I think it is very imperative that, they just take the time and opportunity to get to know the people that are over your children. So would you introduce and just kind of explain a few things to the audience, Ms. Perez?
Sure. So I am school board member, Karen Perez, District 6, and District 6 covers the entire Hillsborough County. So I feel very blessed to be able to represent all the schools in Hillsborough County. And I am a mental health professional on the board. So I am a licensed clinical social worker, licensed to practice therapy in a private sector, and I do have a private practice. But I also work at the Tampa VA as well. What I do, um,
Sorry about that.
what I do at the district level is as a board member, I work on policy that affects our children in our schools, and also I'm the superintendent's boss,
Hmm.
and also am overseeing the finances of the district.
Okay, great. I know that your passion is really for the mental state and mental health, and you really have a passion for that, especially with COVID going on and everything. And I know a lot of people may have some issues with, maybe some of the things that people are pushing for, and especially with like some of the teachers and things like COVID is a big issue right now, and then we have the new Omicron Omarion, whichever version they want to say. But a lot of teachers are very concerned about like their viability and like being able to teach because people are getting sick, people can't work because of health and family and stuff, and then students the same thing. And as important as it is to wear masks and to protect ourselves, we don't want to make that become an issue, but being healthy and mentally stable is really a big issue. How do you honestly feel about all of those things?
Well, for me, being that I work in a hospital setting, what they call a hospital social worker, we always protect ourselves. Even today, when I am with a patient, I still wear a mask. During the board meeting, I still wear a mask. For me, the health and wellness of our students is first and foremost for me. When the when we first had the issue um, with Delta, and when Omicron came through and the different variants that came through, the populations that were most affected were the populations of color, our families of color, and the higher risk were populations of color. When the children are in school, whatever they catch in school, they always bring home. So
Hmm.
if a child catches a cold at school, they bring it home, and everybody at
It
home
spreads.
it spreads. So they catch it. And in our families of color, we have what is called our support systems. Our
Hmm.
support systems are normally our extended family members, which include grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle, and those family members are always there. They support the family. We never send our child to a babysitter. It's always aunt or grandma taking care of our
Hmm.
children. And that was what we were really afraid of. When these children were in school, if they were to catch something and bring it home, this would wipe out a whole entire family.
Absolutely.
Right now, today, we have children who are now um, orphans. We have, sibling sets that are totally have no family members at this point,
Hmm.
because, you know, um, they were wiped out due to due to the pandemic. and the issues during the pandemic.
So, Karen, with the pandemic going on, and I know this election is coming up in November, what is the push to redirect a lot of things that have been going on in the system? Because one, with the some things are virtual, some things are in person. The curriculum, what is going to be pushed in moving forward? Because I think education is a big thing. I know, especially for me and my family, education is a big thing. How are we really going to be able to help the students or the school board? How is the school board really going to be able to help the students, especially in the Black community? Because a lot of times, a lot of young people and families, especially families of color, are not able to get to a lot of resources, maybe because they don't know or they cannot get to those places or whatever, or just the push for education is not there. How are we going to reach that demographic of people?
Well, that during the pandemic, what we found out was that our our um, our populations and our neighborhoods and our schools, um, where of color, whether they were Latino or Black or Asian, or we found out that the digital divide was very great. It was definitely we saw the haves and have-nots during this
Mhm.
time, and our students were not able to get online. They didn't have access to the internet. They didn't have any computer equipment. They had no laptops or computers.
Mhm.
Our superintendent really, tried to close that digital divide by, you know, um, purchasing a lot of laptops. The problem was there is that it was one laptop per 6 students.
Oh, wow.
So if you had 8 kids in your house, you would have 2 laptops. And if you had 3 kids at different grades, one
They
you
all
had,
have to share.
yeah, there you go. There you go. That was a
So,
problem.
my next question is,
Mhm.
um, with the budget, uh, is the budget comes from the superintendent, correct?
No, the budget
Okay,
comes from Tallahassee.
okay. With the budget coming from Tallahassee, is Tallahassee factoring in all of those matters? Because again, we all know that in different families, there's different amount of children. Because again, it is very important for children to learn,
Mhm.
prosper, and to be able to be successful. Are those things being factored in? And e- is education having an equal playing field for everybody?
So, so what happened was that Tallahassee sent us ESSER funds. Those were COVID-19 funds for the schools.
Okay.
Now, what ESSER stands for is Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief.
Okay.
And Tallahassee decided that they would give us our funds whenever they decided to give us our funds.
Okay.
And that really hurt our students. We waited, we had to file for it, and we had to wait. So, our ESSA funds got to us when our ESSA funds got to us. And it was almost like we would have to beg for money that belonged to the students. That is how Tallahassee deals with Florida. When other states had already received their money, had already used their funding to support their students, Florida schools were still begging for their money.
So Karen, you really have a love for the students and the people of your community, and I can really tell that. And it's very imperative just by listening to you, even when I talked to you prior to, and just for having that push because you do understand, as you said earlier, the mental state of children, not just of the children of the family, and also the teachers as well, because everybody is being affected in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And so it's like we need to be able to look at the find the middle ground of everything and be able to help everybody, because at some point we all have to understand that we are all in a situation, a pandemic, a crisis, a just a cry for help at some point, shape, form, or fashion. No matter if you're black, white, green, whatever color your nationality you are, we are all in a situation, and we all want to be helped, saved at some point, no matter what your financial status is. And I really do appreciate, just your passion and your vigor for just the students and the people and the community of Hillsborough County. And I know for me, when I was in the school system, and especially working as a teacher, it is you see a lot of times you just wish you can just do so much for the students and give so much to them. And even during a time like this, it's like sometimes as a parent, as a teacher, and even like yourself as a school board member, it's like sometimes you feel like your hand is tied. When it comes as it relates to Tallahassee, what are they planning on doing with all of this? And that's a broad statement. I'm saying, what are they planning on doing to suffice just the crisis that's going on and helping people?
Well, if I could give you a long answer for a short question.
Okay.
So what we found out during COVID-19, because it started in 2020 during the spring break, things shut down. And here we are in 2022, still dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of deaths still, that there was a fine line, a breaking point for everyone. The adults in the room, the children in the room, everyone. It took a toll on everyone's mental wellness.
Yes.
And it showed. It showed during the COVID lockdown, and that's when the mental health of all individuals, not just our students, but all individuals surfaced. Now Tallahassee is finally, embracing the fact that our children, our teachers, the adults are in need of mental health services.
Yes.
And now they're finally, the school board itself, a couple of board meetings ago, approved a $3.9 million increase for mental health, funds for mental health services for Hillsborough County Schools, which I was just beyond excited about because we really need it. And now in Tallahassee, mental health dollars is totally talked about, approved. Whenever it comes to the table, it's hands down bipartisan approval. Because mental health doesn't know Republican or Democrat. It doesn't know rich or poor. It doesn't know, low income side of town to the rich side of town.
Right.
It doesn't know poor school, rich school. Mental health is an issue. And the stress that we all went through during COVID-19 just brought it to the surface. It's like when you go to a pond and after a hurricane, you see that the hurricane has kind of ruffled all the stuff from that pond to the top, and you see that algae that just sits on the top of the pond.
Yes.
I think that's what COVID-19 did to our communities with mental health.
Now, with the mental health just going on, with the mental health going on, I know that I've been hearing a lot, especially in the news, about them removing um, blackness out of just being taught. And like, I know that that can affect a lot of people, especially just anybody of color, because when you think about it, you know, it that could be a long conversation. And to say to students, you know, your blackness, your color is not of importance, and we don't want to teach that. I know that that can have a big effect on students' mental capacity and feeling like, well, we're already, you know, dealing with COVID. Now we got to deal with, you know, we're not even important, but you're going to educate us. You're not going to, you know, you don't want to talk about what all happened in history. And my thought is, and we're going to go to this next point. My point is with saying this is that if we can't teach equality across the board, if we can't talk about all issues, how can we honestly move forward? Because we're in a country where at some point or another, we all had to get to this point by leaning and depending on one another, whether it's civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights. We all have had to come together and unify at some point to say, I need you, you need me. And no matter whether you're, like you said, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever the case may be, or right in the middle, we all need somebody at some point or another to help us get across that threshold. And in this upcoming election, and I'm gonna throw it to Pastor Piggott after you respond to this. In this upcoming election, what is your push besides mental health in this upcoming election that you are really passionate for and that you look to come out top?
Well, you know, in the U.S. Constitution, it talks about equality for all, period. And, you know, when we see children since 2010, 5 years old committing suicide, and now we add another layer of eliminating what defines them, whether it's their history, whether it's their culture, you know, when we say it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, you can't speak of it, and we're targeting their books, we're targeting their literature, we're targeting their history. Imagine how our children are going to react to that,
Yes,
because they define themselves by the legacy left by their ancestors.
yes,
You know, Rosewood is a good example here in Florida.
yes,
Rosewood and Palm Beach, you know, what happened there at Breakers Hotel, the history there at the Breakers Hotel, you know, where there's a history of what has been done to especially the blacks here in the South. And um, if folks don't want that history told, then they need to change what's being done. You know, and you know that's where I stand with that. And you know,
appreciate it.
eliminating literature is not going to eliminate the truth.
No.
Period. You know, but according to what is written in the Constitution and has been in the Constitution, that you know it guarantees people equal right protection. Period.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Pastor Pickett.
Our great board member, Karen, she's not new to me. She's no stranger. We've been around, and fortunate I met Karen Perez on the campaign trail. And phenomenal work that you have done, phenomenal work that you do. Celebrate you for that. While we do know that it's an election cycle, it's a bit disappointing in reality that you do have people running against you. That's what it's about. It becomes political. And how you champion things have not just been, we understand when I ran for office, we understand what a board member responsibility is.
Mhm.
Their responsibility is the budget, the hiring and firing of a superintendent, and that's their job. But the biggest thing, and it's many people on YouTube watching, people are paying attention on Facebook. The biggest thing that I appreciate and applaud you by, that along this campaign trail when you was running for office, you listened to the constituents, you listened and heard people, and did not allow your position to be muzzled to budget and superintendent. You found yourself all the way in Tallahassee advocating for mental health. You find yourself with the First Lady of Florida advocating for mental health. You found yourself finding ways that you can get the point across, even though it was outside of your scope. With all the people that is watching and paying attention at this moment, a lot of people do not know or even vote for school board members because they don't know how impactful that person is. You have shown that being a board member is not limited to just talking about budget and superintendent, which I applaud you for. With the people watching, what could you tell them about your role? What could you tell them about how important it is to advocate and get behind your school board member, your countywide? You've made yourself accessible, open, that they can contact you at your office. What that looked like to the everyday parent that do not have an idea. Who is a board member? To that everyday person that drops their kid off, pick their kid up. Who are you? How could we help you? What are some things that parents should know and parents should take heed per se when knowing how to get in contact with the board member if there's issues? Because some parents say, I'm gonna call my board member when there's an issue at the school. Well, that's okay, but there's also protocol and chain of command with that. So how do you go about introducing yourself, not just your name, not just your board member, but letting these parents know how important it is to get involved with school board?
It's true. When I speak to like a legislator or someone from Congress or a senator, we do speak about what the needs of the schools are, whether it's, the FTE for the students, because we have the lowest FTE per student. The last time that we were raised from an FTE was back in 1976 or 78. So we're still working with a budget from back when. Or when with the mental health issue, for me to explain to a legislator how they champion mental health up in Tallahassee, for me to provide language, for me to help them understand why mental health and physical health are two separate issues. For me to be able to have that conversation with them, because I sit at the level of school board where I interact with students on a daily basis. I interact with teachers on a daily basis, and I'm able to speak to the needs of our teachers, of our schools, of our students, and champion for them up in Tallahassee, along with our legislators, our Congress and Senate. And they're able to craft law around that conversation. And when they are working with law, they're, anything new, they're able to have conversations with us. Hey, what do you think about this? How will this affect your schools? How is this going to affect, tying your hands to doing anything? Like when we had the Marjorie Stoneman funding, when they came down, at first, they did not allow us to use that money. It was focused money. They did not let us deviate from anything else. But then as board members, we had to let them know, hey, there's certain aspects of this money that we need to move and we need to work with, but you're tying our hands. Once we had that conversation, they allowed us more leeway with the funding, and we were able to use it for the betterment of our students in a more practical way. So, having those conversations, being able to sit down and have transparency with what we're doing and how it works with any other branch of the government, it helps.
That's perfect. Also, now we know around the world we have this big thing of teacher shortage
Yeah. Oh,
that
yes.
is taking place everywhere. Where some schools you have the governor is even going into the school
Yeah,
substitute.
he's teaching, right?
You have board members, you have superintendents, you have workers, the lieutenant governor, people in the governor's office out in the schools because they have no substitutes and they have no teachers. What is that something that you have looked at and somehow modeled the champion?
We've been looking at that. We're actually collaborated with a university to recruit and get teachers here from different countries to help work with our students. So that's one of the ways that we've been able to kind of sidestep that a little bit to get teachers here in our classrooms.
That's amazing. And I would say, because I remember speaking to you about a issue of mine, me coming up in school, the challenges which I had at the end of the day of just, and even with your personal story, I want the people to know, not the full detail. I was at your kickoff, just why it's so important when we are talking board members, why it's so important to make sure that we make those selections on who to be our board members representing our kids, because you have a personal investment with our children. King Jives said it earlier that you're authentic, you're genuine when it comes down to really focusing on our kids. And a big personal with me of how constantly suspended. But, and it was me learning my timetables in the 9th grade. Where the behavior issues was ridiculously bad simply because I didn't know the material. I didn't know, you just wasn't going to be embarrassed with your peers and all of these things. And that's something that you also, when you became a board member champion, got involved with making sure that you can help those kids that perhaps was in that situation. Me being put in the ESE class, SCD at that time, EH class in the portable, all those things. And even with your personal experience, you understand that I say that to say our kids come to school with more baggage than just learning math, science, reading, and writing.
Right.
How have you played a part in that when it comes down to that child that leave home from ducking from a shooting, leave home because mom is being put out because the rent is too high, leaving home, coming to the school because they're hungry. Dad have just physically assaulted mom, and the police is but we get our kids into school, forgetting about the parents trying to, a lot of times we hear parents are not involved in our schools, and we get it, and we wish they could be. But that parent is working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make sure she can put food on that child's table. You have really championed those things and talked about that. What do that mean to you? That total child, that the real issue, this child come to school and reading is not on his mind. That's why he's performing low.
So, to share with this audience. So, I mentioned and what Pastor Piggott is speaking to is that what I always mention is that children come to school with much more in their backpacks than books, and that's what teachers and our administration really needs to remember. a little bit of compassion, a little bit of, sitting down with that child and listening to them goes a long way. I grew up with 3 other siblings with a mother who was diagnosed schizophrenic when she was 19. So I understand that part of, coming to school with a little bit more than books in your backpack. And also, I was in a 15-year marriage riddled with domestic violence. And I decided that, to become a single parent, leave the marriage, become a single parent. And, but my children were exposed to domestic violence before I left the marriage. So, children have and are exposed to things that, teachers would never know about unless they sit down and give that listening ear, or that they have that sharp eye to see that a child is either very quiet or very distant, or that they notice that they act different than their counterparts in that classroom. And so for me, when I go and visit a school, I always take notice of making sure that children are fed, that children, when I go visit a classroom, I come carrying and bearing food, and I always feed the classroom, always. That I never visit a classroom that I don't feed. And I do that on purpose. I do that intentionally. And it to me, it's just a joy when I see children, feeling fed, whether it's spiritually, whether their soul, or it's physically. And that is just me.
And I King Jive, some different things I observe, and why I think that Karen Perez is phenomenal in her position. Not because she's a board member. She know I'm a tough cookie. I telling what I say from one moment to the next. Something happened that was very unique, that really gave me a different perspective and a respect for this board member. The pandemic happened. When the pandemic happened, you had schools closing, kids was home. But prior to that, Karen Perez, board member Perez, had promised a group of students in a class that she was going to get them McDonald's. She did a teacher's appreciation. She was going to come back and get them McDonald's. But the pandemic happened. When the pandemic happened, schools is closed. Kids are home. She had all reason. I'm talking about a board member that goes beyond. She had all reason to say, school's closed. She'll take it to the school when school's open. But this board member, I was shocked, got on the bus, went and got the McDonald's for all of the kids, and went to their homes personally. Made sure that these kids had their McDonald's that she promised them prior. And I think that is so commendable of a board member to say, I'm going to go beyond what I have to do because I made a promise. She's good for her word. And I think when we're electing board members and when we're learning about these people, you want people of integrity. You want people of great character. And you found yourself to be that. The teachers, I seen something, and I will just throw this out because maybe you don't know about that. I seen something where they have a Hispanic committee. And the Hispanic committee, they do where they have all of the superintendent, the different board members, and they come and give a monthly meeting and how they can progress for the Hispanic community. I will ask the question, and you may not know, and I'm just throwing it out there, so I don't expect, but what did bother me is that all this time, and we understood what the pandemic did to the Black and brown students, we have not yet had an African American committee where we too meet. with the superintendent and staff. We too, I think when I see things like that, it kind of shakes me a little bit because it allows me to see how far we yet behind, but yet people are not paying attention to the fact that if you feel that the Hispanic population is needing that monthly meeting, which is phenomenal, which is necessary, which we understand Hillsborough County Schools is going to be packed with 50% of Hispanic students, and we need to be able to reach them. Do we not think that our African American students deserve that same attention? I do think that it should be something of that nature happening
Absolutely.
for our African American students because their
Well,
education matter too.
well, Pastor Pickett, also, just to interject really quick, I think that not only is that important for people of color, brown, black, to have that in place, but it's important for us to be willing to come to the table at the same time, because as we are here on the screen and we are talking about the cares and the concerns, and we have school board member Karen Perez here, it is very important for the people of the community to come out and to support, because a lot of times what we see is that we will complain, but it's very important for us to stop complaining and to get involved in our children's education, involved in the education system, go to the meetings and all that stuff. And I know a lot of times, a lot of parents have so much going on, but somebody needs to show up. Somebody needs to, be involved to say, we're there. We can't expect for someone else to want to do it for us. We have to make that effort ourselves. And I really appreciate Mrs. Karen Perez being here and even just being that voice, and who is a part of the Black and brown community. I appreciate her even being a part and a voice and doing all the things that she has done, because I'm listening to her and even just reading some of the things that she's done. And she's just one person. We need more people like her. And even though there are people that may be running up against her, there will never be another Karen Perez that will fight as hard as she's fighting. And we need more people that care, love, and that have a heart for the equality of not just Black and brown, but all people, because we can't make it one-sided, because then it becomes a problem when you show favoritism towards one or the other. You have to show equality towards everybody. And when one gets disciplined, it needs to be shown across the board. When love is given across the board, so that everybody understands that united we stand and divided we fall, So I think that is very important. And again, I thank you so much.
So I want to correct something or add to something that Pastor Piggott said. It was the students were graduating, and I had mentioned that I was going to throw them a graduation party.
Got you.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
I could not. I said I'm going to keep my word. And so when I wanted to go keep my word, the superintendent joined, and then we had a whole busload of folks that decided to go with me, and it was amazing. But we went to each and every student's home.
Personally, you went to their house.
Yeah, to their home, and they had no idea that I was coming. They had no idea that I was going to show up. But I did it. Because I made a promise, and I when I got elected, I made a promise to the people of Hillsborough County and the students that I was going to stand behind them, and I believe I have. When it came to their mental wellness, to standing behind them on this board, to do what I'm supposed to do for the students and parents and teachers in Hillsborough County.
Well, I tell you, you have been phenomenal about that. I mean, that speaks volumes for the kids to know when it comes down to you, because a lot of our kids don't even know board members. They don't know. They don't have an idea. But we could say that these schools know Karen Perez, because as you go, you don't go in to have meetings just with principals. You don't go in just to, and this, and I'm saying this because if the truth be told, Karen Perez would never say any of it. She won't take pictures. She will not put it on Facebook. She will not talk about what she done. I went and met Karen Perez, and she probably would hate I say it, but I met her one year at a Red Lobster, and I popped up the hood of my trunk, and she's always trying to get supplies to schools. Here goes stuff, get it to the schools in the districts, make sure that they have what they need. And she didn't want no picture with the supplies. She didn't want me saying nothing about it. It's 3 years later, Karen. I can say something now. It's 3 years. I kept quiet for 3 years. And I think that is commendable, that it's not about taking a photo. It's not, it's really about making sure teachers, leaders, and our students is looked after. And she's focusing on their total well-being. How could we, as a community, Karen Perez, help you? One, it takes money to run off campaigns. At the end of the day, I was there and I know the struggle. It takes people to support. We can't knock on doors. We can send a check. Can't send a check. We can do what? How can the people that you could say here, how could they support you in this election? What is it, something that you want the people to know? How can we find you? What can we do to support this next? Because we need you to stay on this board because you have a vision and an eye for our kids. What can we do to support you?
Well, my website is keepkarenperez.com. And, I have a like you mentioned, I did that with you and several other people, but, and I don't, my philosophy is don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And, I think for that I have been blessed, but, I give, I just do. Me and my family will pull out of our pockets to give to this community always. But our students are number one, when it comes to giving. We do scholarships also. We do 4 scholarships a year, one for every one of us that had the opportunity to go to college. So all 4 of us, myself and my 3 children, went to college. And so we give that opportunity and lift up in our community as well.
Wow.
So we do scholarships also. Keep Karen Perez.com. And, I would love an opportunity again to represent Hillsborough County, to continue championing for our students and their mental well-being, and, for everything else, Hillsborough County.
I thank you. I mean, I appreciate it tremendously. That it's ongoing things that you've constantly championed. And if I didn't think that you was a good board member, I would surely be saying so. I believe in doing that. But I love your heart. I love who you are as a person. And I would say to all of our guests, I don't care if it's $5, $10, and she didn't ask me to do this, but I don't care what it is. I want to be there to support her regardless of what it does, because believe it or not, $10, $15, $20, whether it's $20.22, whether it's $22 for the year 22, something to our school board member will allow her to continue to do and get the word out and advocate for our kids. Our kids need it. They need somebody that's going to sit on the board and say, don't be so quick to suspend that child. Yeah. Have we looked at more detail to why we're kicking them out of school? We need someone that's able to say, we're not expelling this child. There is other issues, and I don't care what happened on the board. You have been a consistent voice. No one can sway you. No one is you. Stay consistent and making sure you say, have we thought about the child? And that was very impressive to me. Being a board member that could sit there with adversity, sit there with people saying this, saying that, and you're saying, have you thought about the child? I think that was commendable. That's where your heart is always. You love the teachers. You want us. I mean, you hold our superintendent, whom we love. You hold him accountable at every route you can, and we need that. At the end of the day, he's doing what he's doing a good job. But we need to have people on that board that will hold our superintendent accountable if the teachers need so, if the students need so. And you do that. You're not in cahoots with anybody but our students at the end of the day. And I think that's very commendable. It's very big. We're proud of you. I asked any of our guests on here, everyone. I looked, it was already, when we first came on, it was immediately 50-some people on immediately. So I want everybody to make sure that you like, that you share. King Jives, kudos to you. Thank you so much for allowing the space that we can bring a board member on to express what she do, how she can get help, how, and she didn't come on about an election. I threw that on. She came on simply wanting to make sure that we knew what was going on with the total child in our school and how she's advocating for our total child. And I commend you for that. If there's anything I can do, King Jives, you send us material, things we can get out, things we can let the people know how they can reach you if they're having a concern. We'll do that. We appreciate you for your stand-up character and integrity. It means the world. King Jives, thank you also for my opportunity. Thank you for allowing me.
I do appreciate everyone. I do appreciate Pastor Vicky for being on tonight, and also School Board Member Karen Perez for taking the opportunity on this evening to share with us. I didn't want to take up too much of her time tonight, but just the knowledge and the wisdom and just the care and concern for the parents, for the students, for the teachers of our Hillsborough County community. It is very important to know that there is somebody out here that's doing something, and you also have the track record to prove that you have been doing something, and to even hear from even Pastor Piggott that, you know, the work that you've done behind the scenes. And it's so commendable to see people that love the people and don't want no accolades or anything, because again, a lot of people, they want you to see me do this, see me do that. It is very commendable and appreciative for those works, and I see a lot of people saying amazing, amazing, amazing. So while you all are saying amazing in the comments, and I know all those things, make sure you like, share, and comment on this video. And also, I know a lot of you all are in the Tampa area, Tampa Hillsborough County area. Make sure you get out when it comes time to vote, and vote for what's right. Karen Perez has been doing a great job on the board. Make sure you put the vote that counts on there. And again, as we've been saying tonight, get out there and get involved in your child's life. Get out there and get involved in your student's life, because it's very much so important. So I do appreciate you all being on here tonight, and I really do thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here tonight. I really appreciate it. And, you know, just remember, your students' mental health and the whole child really, really matters.
And I do want you, board member, to look into that thing for me, that meeting once a month, superintendent. I need.
I will. You know that I will.
Yes, ma'am. Look into that and see what we can do, because everyone needs it, and I don't want anyone left behind. And we constantly seem like the African American child is always the last to get something or have to beg to get something. Let's get to the table and say, hey, we got teachers, principals, and parents, leaders in our community that want to also meet with our superintendent, our board members, to let them know this is what's going on with our African American students. How can we push them forward and get them graduating and not just completing, but going to plumber, whatever we can get them going, but getting them out of school, because they all may not be for college, but they all are going to be successful, and we can really push for that. So if you can look into how we can see what that looked like and what that was, I think that the students should also be able to be privileged to be represented by us. Thank you so much again. I see everybody saying they are hitting like, they're sharing, that you was amazing. They thought that you was phenomenal. And the good thing I could tell all of our viewers, This woman is the same person everywhere you see her. I don't care where you see her. She's consistent. This is who she is. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. We're going to really push for you. And just know you can call on us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you all again so much for even being here with us tonight. Thank you to the viewers and everybody, all the ones that are watching, even afterwards. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Again, thank you, Mrs. Karen Perez, for being here on tonight and just taking the opportunity to educate and to help the people of the Hillsborough County School Board. We appreciate you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you again. All right, thank you guys. You guys and Pastor Piggott, thank you. You guys have a great night.
Good night.